Today we have a fascinating topic to delve into: the strict rules that former US presidents are required to follow after leaving office. These rules are in place to ensure the smooth transition of power and the preservation of national security. Seven, they still have to read national security briefings. One of a president's most important duties is to be aware of any potential threats to the security of the United States. These briefings are carried out constantly throughout a president's tenure, even multiple times a day if necessary, because the world is always changing and threats can come up unexpectedly. You'd think former presidents would no longer need to be bothered about such things, since they're retired from the job and are now private citizens, but you'd be wrong. They continue to receive national security updates for the rest of their lives, not necessarily because they're expected to actively do anything about them, but just in case they have advice they can offer the current administration, or if they get asked about the situation by the press. Even if being president isn't their job anymore, they still need constant updates about what's going on. This actually became newsworthy in 2018 when President Donald Trump allegedly threatened to revoke Barack Obama's access to national security briefings. According to Newsweek, President Trump was rumored to be unaware that former presidents received the briefings and had to be informed that this was normal and nothing to be concerned over, though Trump later said these rumors were untrue. 6. Ex-presidents can never go anywhere alone. Every so often, you just need some alone time. People take walks, seek out a quiet room, or whatever they need to find a little peace and quiet. If this is you, becoming president might be a bad idea, because you're literally never alone, and that continues even after you've left office. Secret Service detail is a 24/7 thing, and former Secret Service agent Jonathan Wackrow described presidential protection to NBC News as the most intrusive thing that anyone could ever experience. Basically, you're constantly surrounded by people you barely know, and since agents can be swapped out or moved around, ex-presidents are likely to be surrounded by strangers for the rest of their lives. And these agents don't take a break when things aren't going well, like when there are arguments between spouses. They're beside their protector's side at all times. No word if that includes bathroom breaks, but frankly, it seems pretty likely. Agents are even with former presidents during holidays. Imagine not being able to eat Thanksgiving dinner without a bunch of people in black suits standing around you. This actually happened to Donald Trump when he was president-elect. When he and his family sat down to a holiday dinner at Mar-a-Lago, over 150 Secret Service agents were there too, since all of his family members who were in attendance had Secret Service details of their own. 5. Former presidents aren't allowed to drive. One of the greatest perks of being president is not having to deal with traffic every day. For one thing, you've got drivers who can take you where you need to go, and for another, the Secret Service can block off traffic for you to ensure your safety. It's no fun for anyone else on the road, but hey, you're the president, and you have important things to do. There is a downside though. Once a president's term is over, they can never drive a car on an open road again. The reason is because of the lifetime Secret Service detail that all ex-presidents get. After all, one of the least safe places you can be is on the road, and that's just under normal circumstances. Add in that ex-presidents are always a target, and things get even hairier. So to ensure their safety, they're not allowed to hit the road. As George W. Bush explained to Jay Leno, he's only allowed to drive on his own private property, far from any reckless drivers or people who wish him harm. He must be driven everywhere by Secret Service agents trained in evasive and defensive driving maneuvers. This rule was instituted after John F. Kennedy's assassination in 1963. Lyndon B. Johnson was, to date, the last president to drive on public roads. 4. Retired presidents must establish a presidential library. Have you ever noticed that everyone who serves as president gets a library named after them when they leave office? There's a good reason for this. It's a law. The 1955 Presidential Libraries Act established that each president would oversee the creation of a library in their name, according to the Washington Post. While having a library named after yourself is definitely #life goals, presidential libraries are a little different. They contain every word a president has written in office, minus any classified materials of course, even the stuff that may not be so good, such as Bill Clinton's library in Little Rock, Arkansas, which features information about his impeachment scandal. They're not allowed to keep certain materials out of their libraries, as anything created during a president's term is illegally considered to be public property. This was decided after disgraced President Richard Nixon attempted to leave out materials regarding the Watergate scandal that occurred during his time in office. 3. They must have their calls and tech usage monitored. We all assume that the government, or big tech companies in any case, are listening to everything we do these days, especially after numerous scandals have come up in the last 2 decades where the government was caught doing exactly that by surveilling US citizens without a warrant. The intelligence community has since tried to clean up its image by being more transparent about this, and it now requires warrants in many situations. However, the Secret Service often gets exceptions to these rules in cases relating to the security of current and former presidents. For example, according to The Hill, the Secret Service got an exception to warrant laws regarding stingray devices that can monitor the location of cell phones, with the Department of Homeland Security arguing it was impractical to require them to obtain warrants to monitor the president and other important individuals. While this particular device doesn't monitor the contents of communications passed by the phones, this is just one of many techniques that law enforcement can use for surveillance, and the Secret Service has pretty sweeping jurisdiction over keeping former presidents safe, whether that's from threatening phone calls, suspicious tweets, or anything in between. 2. Former presidents must have their mail searched. Former presidents don't have much privacy, and those snoopy Secret Service agents even get to paw through their mail. Yeah, that's right. An ex-president's regular old snail mail and packages must be examined by agents before they can be delivered. That may sound like overkill, but they've caught several dangerous deliveries by doing this, even as recently as 2018. According to Bloomberg Law, the Secret Service successfully identified explosives en route to former presidents Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, among other VIP targets. And it's not just a random agent shuffling through and opening the president's mail on the way back from their mailbox. It's all screened off-site by trained security staff with knowledge of dealing with explosives, dangerous chemicals, and so on. Every mail piece is meticulously examined for any possible threats to the former president. What's more, the Secret Service agents aren't the only ones keeping an eye on ex-presidential mail. The United States Postal Service also gets in on the act, as they monitor any suspicious packages sent through the mail, no matter who they're going to, through a program called Dangerous Mail Investigations, which sounds like a pretty fascinating true crime documentary series or some sort of ticking clock procedural drama where harried postal workers only have 24 hours to solve the case of someone's grandmother accidentally mailing out a box of damaged cell phone batteries. 1. They can't technically badmouth other presidents. If you've ever moved on from a job, taken a look at the doofus they replaced you with, and thought, wow, they're just awful, congratulations, you're a normal everyday person. Criticizing the people who held a job before and after you is a part of work life, and it can be both cathartic and helpful coming up with clever ways to say mean things about people you barely know. Previous presidents don't have this luxury, however. While it's not an actual rule, an ex-president isn't supposed to talk smack about any other presidents, according to an unwritten White House tradition that's been passed down for centuries. Basically, retired presidents are expected to stay out of the affairs of the current president and also avoid saying anything untoward about any other former presidents, according to the New York Times. You may have noticed this rule gets broken a lot. That's actually a pretty recent phenomenon, only cropping up since the beginning of the 21st century. Please subscribe to The Luxury World. Thank you for watching.